WPIAL podcast on the Trib Live High School Sports Network. Our continuing playoff coverage, including this podcast, including games, and also the scoreboard show on Friday night from 9:30 to 11-ish. Presented by Edgar Snyder and Associates. Go local, go with Edgar, helping injured people. Oh, there it is. Go with Edgar, helping injured people since 1982. EdgarSnyder.com. Well, we finally get our taste of November football. The playoffs starting just a little earlier than usual. Usually it is early November when we open up the postseason with first round and or quarterfinal action. But now the first Friday in November, we get the second Friday of the postseason, and we welcome in the four teams that qualified for the district playoffs from Class 6A. They finally get a taste of playoff football, for them sitting out last week. Four teams in 5A, the top four seeds, also were spectators on Halloween night, probably more like scouters. They were probably scouting games, checking them out. They will make their playoff debut. Class 3A, also the same as 5A with 12 teams, top four seeds. Not only did they not play last week, but now they get home games this week. Top three teams in 2A get their first taste of WPIAL playoff football. So all in now, everybody's, all six brackets are rolling. Class 6A and Class 4A, remember it's the semifinals this week. The other four classifications, it's the quarterfinals. So the championships for 6A and 4A will be a week from Saturday, noon for the 4A championship game, 6 p.m. for the 6A championship game. And those games, not at Norwin High School. They're undergoing some construction around the stadium. Or at the stadium, I believe. Pine Richland High School is going to be hosting the 4A and 6A championships coming up on Saturday, a week from this Saturday. That's, Saturday the 13th, I believe, for those two district championships. And then the following Saturday, the Saturday before Thanksgiving, we get the other four title games at Acrisure Stadium on the North Shore. All right, so here's this weekend's lineup in Class 6A, the two semifinals. Obviously, and everything in 6A are rematches, right? The 2-3 game is an interesting one. Norwin visiting North Allegheny. Both the Knights and the Tigers are 7-3. North Allegheny and Norwin ended up finishing tied for second place, but Norwin beat North Allegheny. It was a close game earlier this season. The Tigers prevailed, and thus they are hosting the championship game. Will it be Central North Allegheny? That's not as much of a slam dunk for the championship game as we have seen in recent years. Norwin has had a tremendous season. Tristan Tavares and company getting it done. Norwin at North Allegheny, 7 o'clock on Friday. And at West Mifflin, it's the 4-1 matchup. The Cannon McMillan Big Macs missed the playoffs a year ago, back into the postseason this year. They'll be taking on the defending WPIAL champion, Central Catholic Vikings. Central 9-1, Canamac 4-6. These two teams just met 2 weeks ago. Their most recent outing, they ended the regular season on week 9 at Big Mac Stadium in Cannonsburg. Owen Herrick, 8 of 12 passing, 217 yards, 3 touchdowns, as Central Catholic defeated Cannon McMillan 45-10. Those two teams meet again. This game is at West Mifflin Stadium that the Vikings have used. Everyone knows Central Catholic doesn't have a home field. They play as many games as they possibly can at Carnegie Mellon, right next to the high school. But they've used West Mifflin. They've used the Wolverina. They've used Fox Chapel. West Mifflin is the site Friday for the Vikings and the Big Macs. These games can be seen on NFHS. The Big Macs and Vikings can be heard as well as the Knights and Tigers, games that can be heard on the Trib Live High School Sports Network. A little old school audio for your postseason pleasure. All right, Class 5A, top seed Pine Richland after their bye, after winning the Northeast Conference Championship. They won it in Week 9 with a victory over the Shaler Titans. They would have had a share of it if they would have lost that game. But they won 49-17. Aaron Strader, 3 touchdown passes, a scoring run for the Rams. So, again, they're back-to-back games. They will be taking on Shaler, this time hosting the Titans, who come in with a record of 4-7. The Rams 9-1, and on an 8-game winning streak after since their only loss of the season to Central Catholic. Last week, Shaler, first playoff victory since 2009, I believe. 28-8, they defeated Kiski area Isaac McKay, 103 yards and a touchdown for Shaler. Good matchup in the 4-5 game, second matchup of the year between Penn Trafford and Moon. The difference and the reason why the Warriors are hosting the Tigers is because Penn Trafford defeated Moon earlier this season. Tigers are 8-3, coming off a first-round playoff victory over Armstrong, 48-21. Ryan Culligan, 2 touchdowns, a 34-yard run, and a 47-yard pick six. So getting it done on both sides of the ball. Penn Trafford, the runners-up in the Big East Conference, 9-1. Their only loss was to Woodland Hills. They had a first-round bye. Right side of the bracket, Peters Township also coming off a first-round bye. They will be hosting the team they beat in Week 9 in their most recent matchup, the Bethel Park Blackhawks. That game is at Peters Township at the middle school. That's where the stadium is, the old high school, but not at the current new high school. In Week 9, very impressive performance by the Indians, 35-0. They whitewashed the Blackhawks. Nolan DeLucia, the talented senior quarterback, 16 of 21 passing, 242 yards, and 2 touchdown passes and a touchdown run in the victory for Peters, 10-0. Their record, Bethel Park comes in with a record of 7-4. The Blackhawks last week in the first round, a 38-7 winner over North Hills. Evan Devine threw for 176 yards and a touchdown for the winning Hawks. And finally, a dandy at the Wolverina in Turtle Creek. Woodland Hills, the Big East Conference champions, coming off a first-round bye, record of 8-2, taking on the Upper St. Clair Panthers, the number 3 team out of the Allegheny Six Conference, a record of 9-2. USC opening up the postseason last week at home, beating Plum 56-8. They were actually trailing on a pick six, 8-0 early, but 46 unanswered points. Ethan Hellman, 9 of 18 passing, 156 yards, and a touchdown for the winning Panthers. 4A, as I mentioned, like Class 6A, it is semifinal time, Final Four. One of the matchups is a rematch of the 2024 4A championship game. It'll be the defending champion, Thomas Jefferson Jaguars, taking on the McKeesport Tigers in what should be a splendid catfight at Chartiers Valley High School. Jaguars 9-2, the runners-up in the Big Six Conference. Tigers 8-3, playing so much better with a healthy Keeman Spell. They are the champions of the Greater Allegheny Conference. Both impressive last week. McKeesport rolling past Chartiers Valley 44-7. Keeman Spell, 187 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns for the Port. TJ, Kane Egerton had a monster game. 6 receptions for 129 yards and 2 touchdown receptions. He also had a 98-yard pick six. Thomas Jefferson, 31. Mars, 14. As Bill Cherpak once again has his Jags into the semifinals. The other semifinal matchup, another rematch in the Parkway Conference. Newcastle 9-2, Aliquippa 7-3. Canes beat the Quips earlier this season. See if they can do it again. That one also was at Taggart Stadium in Newcastle. Both Teams had close victories that went literally down to the wire. Aliquippa knocked off number 2 seed Trinity 21-14. They were down 14-7 into the fourth quarter. Akiva Woods with a 70-yard touchdown run tied the game. And then in the final minute, Marquise Council, where did he come from? He was supposed to be out for the season with a leg injury. He plays and throws a beautiful touchdown pass to Josh Lay, 38 yards in the final minute. That's the difference. Aliquippa 21, Trinity 14. Meanwhile, Newcastle Montour, great game. The freshman Marino Graham for the Red Hurricanes, 6 of 11 passing, 141 yards, 2 touchdowns. Montour scores late. They go for 2, and they don't get it. Quarterback slipped, did not get into the end zone, and the 2-point conversion failed. They recovered an onside kick, Montour did, but they could not get within field goal range. And 14-13, Newcastle over Montour. So we get Canes and Quips take 2 in a 4A semifinal match coming up on Friday. That game is at old Lincoln High School in Elwood City. All right, let's go to Class 3A, 2A, and Class A are all quarterfinal matchups. We're seeing the Avonworth Antelopes for the first time in this postseason. They're the defending champions, a perfect 10-0 in the regular season. Boy, were they impressive. And there's a reason that a lot of folks feel they're the heavy favorites to win it all in 3A. They will be home to the 8-3 Freeport Yellow Jackets, the number 3 team out of the Allegheny Conference. Freeport outscoring Beaver in the first round last week, 35-27. Dawson Galliot, 2 touchdowns. Amos Glenn, fabulous player for the Yellow Jackets this year, 2 touchdowns, including a 56-yard punt return. 5-4 matchup. It's a rematch of a quarterfinal game a year ago, won by Elizabeth Forward over North Catholic. The 2 meet once again at EF on Friday. The Trojans 8-3, the Warriors 9-1. EF won the Interstate Conference, received a first-round bye. North Catholic, earning their spot in this game. 56-14 winners over Pearl. Joey Filitsky, what a season he is having. The last 2 years, he's been the leading passer in the WPIAL. Listen to these numbers: 23 of 24, near perfect, 433 yards and 6 touchdowns for North Catholic as they roll past Pearl rather easily, and sets up a matchup. Great quarterback matchup here. Joey Filitsky, Ryan Messina of Elizabeth Forward has had a great year. I think he's number 10 in passing in the WPIAL. Trojans and Warriors should be a good one at EF on Friday. Bottom of the bracket, the number 2 seed, Imani Christian. Not the only, Avonworth isn't the only undefeated team in Class 3A. The Allegheny 7 conference champions, the Saints of Imani Christian, second straight, I believe, perfect regular season, 10-0 at historic UPMC Graham Field in Wilkinsburg. The Imani Christian Saints will be hosting the Hopewell Vikings. What a wild show they seem to put on week in and week out, thanks in part to outstanding sophomore quarterback Boo Boo Armstrong. He had a big game last week, but not as big as Nasir Wade. 113 yards, 2 touchdowns for the Vikings, as making their first playoff appearance since 2012. They won big at Southmoreland, 42-6. Finally, in 3A, the Central Valley Warriors, the number 2 team out of the I'm drawing a blank. Out of not the Black Hills, I want to say the Black Hills Conference, the Western Hills. I knew there was hills. The Western Hills Conference. They finished in second place. Rough start, but they were playing some of the cream of the crop in Class 4A in those non-conference matchups. They were set to go to make another run. It's the number 3 seed. They will be hosting the Highlands Golden Rams. 8-3 record. Highlands coming off a 14-0 shutout of Derry. Emerging running back Tevin Owen Kratzenberg, 172 yards and a touchdown for the Golden Rams. Sarge Albert, the site of that one, Highlands at Central Valley. Warriors, by the way, 6-4 coming off a first-round bye. 2A, also coming off a first-round bye, the top seed, the Seton LaSalle Rebels at Dormont Stadium. They bring their 9-1 record, 9 straight victories, to take on the surging Mohawk Warriors. Finished strong to make the playoffs out of the Midwestern Athletic Conference, and they picked up a victory 17-14 over Our Lady of the Sacred Heart last week. Bobby Fadden, 13 of 22, 140 yards, passing, 2 touchdown tosses. He also had 86 yards on the ground as Mohawk wins. The boys of Bessemer head to Dormont on Saturday, 6-5 Mohawk, 9-1 Seton LaSalle. 2 teams that had to earn their spot in the quarterfinals. It's the 4-5 matchup, number 5 Washington, number 4 South Allegheny. They will be meeting at Charleroi High School on Friday. The Little Prexies 9-2, the Gladiators 10-1. Washington rolling past Beaver Falls 37-7 last week. Tristan Reed, talented quarterback, 2 touchdown passes, 2 touchdown runs for Wash High. South Allegheny crushes Waynesburg Central 61-13. Elijah Cook, he struggled in week 9, the sophomore quarterback against Steel Valley, but really bounced back nicely. 9 of 12, 141 yards, 3 touchdown passes for the Gladiators. Joe Gamrot, 107 yards on the ground, 2 scores for SA as they win, improve to 10-1. Washington against South Allegheny. 2 teams that finished as technically in second place. South Allegheny earned a share of the Allegheny Conference Championship, but after the tiebreakers, they were the number 2 team out of that conference. Washington, the number 2 team out of the Century Conference. The top team in the Midwestern Athletic Conference, that's Western Beaver. First year of permanent lights, and they get to host a playoff game in Industry. The 9-1 Golden Beavers will be welcoming the Apollo Ridge Vikings, one of 3 teams, as I mentioned, to share the Allegheny 7 Conference Championship with South Allegheny and Steel Valley. Apollo Ridge 8-3 after beating Riverside last week, 28-7. Alex Clausen, 17 of 13 passing, 90 yards, 131 yards on the ground. Jaden McCray, 4 touchdowns for the Vikings. He scored all 4 of their touchdowns. Long trip from Apollo to Industry for the Vikings and the Golden Beavers. And finally in 2A, the Steel Valley Ironmen coming off that big victory over South Allegheny in week 9 that earned them a share of the Allegheny Conference Championship. They were the top seed after the tiebreaker points, and they had a first-round bye as the number 3 seed. Campbell Field in Munhall, Steel Valley hosting the Elwood City Wolverines, a 35-13 winner over Keystone Oaks in Elwood City's playoff opener. Tyler Smiley, talented senior quarterback, following in his brother Chris's footsteps, 24 of 36 passing, 269 yards, and 2 touchdowns in that Wolverines victory. He's going to have to be sharp going up against Deron Barksdale and the rest of the Ironmen on Friday. Class A, Fort Cherry. Good start to their postseason as they try to win a 3rd straight WPIAL championship. 48-14 winners in round 1 over Avella. Matt Sieg, 161 yards, all on the ground, 2 touchdowns. We still don't know if the arm is healthy, but they haven't needed him, his arm. They will at some point, but his legs have been carrying the day. Rangers a perfect 11-0 as they get ready to face the Neshannock Lancers at 8-3 out of the Big 7 Conference. They defeated Leechburg 49-14. Gino Mazzacco, 6 of 8 passing, 133 yards and a touchdown. He had 43 yards on the ground with 2 scores in the win for the Lancers. Neshannock Fort Cherry, that game is at Gypsy Glen Stadium at Beaver High School on Friday. One of the surprises of opening weekend, Chartiers Houston. They go to Hookstown and they upset number 5 Southside 26-21. Dominic Andrioli, 2 touchdowns for the Bucks. Dominic Comer, 72-yard pick 6. So the Dom and Dom show carrying the day for Chartiers Houston. They will take on the Laurel Spartans, who cruised to a 35-0 whitewash of Jefferson Morgan. Luca Santini, 5 of 10 passing, 80 yards, 2 touchdowns. Colton Carlson, 91 yards and a touchdown for the Spartans. Chartiers Houston against Laurel. It's a 12-4 matchup. That game being played at West Allegheny High School. 2 very familiar teams. Eastern Conference rivals will meet at Franklin Regional High School when the number 2 seed Clairton Bears at 10-1 take on the 10th seed Jeanette Jayhawks at 8-3. Clairton 50, Monessen nothing. Jeff Thompson 7 of 11, passing 159 yards, 3 touchdowns. It is the 9th consecutive shutout for the Clairton Bears. I was told by Chris Harlan that the forfeit victory over Shadyside Academy does not count as a shutout. Jeanette goes to Bentworth and beats the Bearcats 38-24. Kaimani Brown, 8 of 16 passing, 138 yards and a touchdown. He also ran for 132 yards and a score as the Jayhawks win and advance to the quarterfinals. Finally, our team of the week this past week, the Fraser Commodores, 7-4. Great story. I think they've had like 4 total wins in the last 4 years. And here they sit at 7-4 and headed to the quarterfinals after beating Tri-County South Conference champion California 27-12. Brady Seacrest, 6 of 12 passing, 118 yards, and 3 touchdowns for the Commodores. Derek Diamond stayed out of the rough, 98 yards rushing for Fraser. Up next, they will take on number 3 seed Bishop Canavan. The Crusaders, in a wild one, knock off Greensburg Central Catholic 50-35. The game was tied at 28 after the third quarter. So, what is that, 22? Yeah, 22 unanswered. Well, not unanswered, but 22 points in the fourth quarter helps Bishop Canavan advance. Bionte Mott with 182 yards rushing and a touchdown for the Crusaders, who come in with a record of 8-3. Fraser versus Bishop Canavan, Big Mac Stadium in Canonsburg, the site of that one. Again, all these games will kick off at 7 o'clock on Friday. Afterward, we will have the WPIAL scoreboard show presented by Edgar Snyder and Associates. That is starting at 9:30 and will continue up past 11 o'clock, I would assume. Thanks to Chris Lackner, our producer. We got stuff every day, again, over these next few weeks, beyond the district playoffs, into the state playoffs, all the way through mid-December. Check us out every day. There's something new going on that is related to these WPIAL football playoffs, including Ford Podcast of the Week, our Player of the Week podcast, Team of the Week podcast, this preview podcast, and then our recap podcast. I was going to say late Friday night. It's more like early Saturday morning we release that one, so check it all out. Thanks to our producer, Chris Lackner. I'm Don Rebel. We thank you for joining us on the Rebel Yell podcast, November Football, #, here on the Trib Live High School Sports Network.